What if you had a how-to book that was always current and told you everything you ever needed to know about operating on airports and in the airspace of the United States? Too good to be true? Nope, it exists and it's readily available. The Aeronautical Information Manual, or the AIM, is designed to provide the aviation community with basic flight information and ATC procedures for use in the National Airspace System of the United States. This manual has the fundamentals that you need to fly in the U.S. airspace system. Now, it also contains items of interest to pilots about health and medical facts, factors affecting flight safety, a pilot controller glossary, and information on safety, accident, and hazard reporting. It's divided into 9 chapters. The chapters are navigation aids, aeronautical lighting and other airport visual aids, airspace, air traffic control, and air traffic procedures, and those two, by the way, are not the same. Control tells you what's available, and procedures tells you how to use it. It also has chapters on emergency procedures, the safety of flight, medical facts for pilots, and aeronautical charts and related publications. And as I said, there's a pilot controller glossary, and it's got about 100 pages in it. Very, very roughly, you can think of these chapters as arranged in the sequence of a flight. The book opens with information that you'd use before the flight, goes into how you navigate around the airport, and then moves on to things that apply after you're airborne. Now, each of these chapters has sections in it. They're divided into sections of varying length. For instance, Chapter 1, which is the navigation aids, the first section is air navigation radio aids. And those sections are further subdivided down into paragraphs. And here's our paragraph numbers. These really could be better defined as subsections, since each one of these paragraphs may have numerous additional subdivisions which extend over several pages. Let's take a look at one of those. Paragraphs are numbered for quick reference. For instance, the 13th paragraph of the first section in Chapter 1 would be numbered 1-1-13, and here it is, Nav Aids with Voice. Pretty straightforward. With just the tiniest bit of thought, it sorts itself out very nicely. That's the good news. So what's the bad news? The 13th illustration or table that shows up in Section 1 of Chapter 1 is also identified as, you guessed it, in this case, Figure 1-1-13. Can be confusing. So the message is, keep your wits about you. After all, it's government work. Now, this is one heck of a big book, over 550 pages. The reason it's so big is because there's so much detailed information in there that the FAA thinks is really important for you to have. Now, you have a CD version in your Cessna kit, but that doesn't cut down the amount of information, just the space it's kept in. Let's look at some practical examples of how you might use the AIM. Say it's been about 2 years since you became a private pilot, and it's time for a flight review. First, you'll probably hit Chapter 3, Airspace, for a general review of the airspace. Contained in fewer than 30 pages are all kinds of airspace grouped in logical sequence. And the text is in English, as opposed to the usual regulatory gobbledygook. Amazing. Next, you may want to recall some forgotten details of weather information, like where, what, and how to read it. So see Chapter 7, Section 1, which covers meteorology. And finally, with a little brush up on medical facts from Chapter 8, fitness for flight and other things, you'll be off to the review with your AIM tucked neatly neath your arm. Yes, your instructor will be delighted that you know where to find all this different information, and she may ask you to look up some of the things that are pertinent to the review as you go along. After all, it's a review, not a test. Here's another example. Say you've been flying out of the air patch at frayed lariat, Arizona, and your radio hasn't been set on anything but 122.9 for 8 months. Now you have to fly over to Tucson tomorrow, and you're a tad apprehensive about the busy airspace. Okay, what you'll want to do is read Chapter 3, Section 2 on controlled airspace, and also Chapter 4, Section 2 on radio communications phraseology and techniques. 22 pages later, you'll have had a painless confidence implant. Or perhaps you're sitting in on a rainy Saturday morning hangar flying session. Some guy is regaling the assembled bird persons about his recent visit to a recycled Air Force base at Saggy Campcott, Maine. And so he tells of the taxiway that was so narrow, its edges were painted like a zipper with alternating white patches to warn you that your wings are hanging over the edges. Well, by looking at the AIM at paragraph 2-3-6 about vehicle roadway markings, which refers you to figure 2-3-18, which talks about the signs along roadways, you can have the exquisite pleasure of telling him that he was on a roadway not intended for an aircraft. No doubt about it, the AIM is the ultimate hangar flying argument settler. Of course, you'll find a copy of the AIM on the FAR AIM CD in your Cessna kit, or you can get a printed version of it by subscription from the government printing office. It costs around $75. Now that price includes 3 changes which will be mailed to you at 6-month intervals until the next printing of the basic book. If you buy your subscription after changes have been issued, you'll receive those changes with the basic book, but your subscription still only goes until the book's next publication. Now, since government periodicals are not copyrighted, many publishers offer the AIM for one-time sale at greatly reduced prices. Whether you use the CD-ROM that came in your kit or buy a printed version, you'll find the information contained in the AIM to be invaluable for both your flying and your hangar flying.